All right, welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm John. I'm here with my buddy Brando here on a Tuesday evening. Brando, what's up, man? How you doing?
Living, man. We're living. I'm not complaining. I got one day off until school starts. That's my only. It's the Sunday scaries, but like times 40 because
I get
forever
that.
Again.
The end of summer.
Yeah,
but that means football. So there's that. It
does. I'm ready for Saturday, the last preseason game, to work at home. Kids Day. I like Kids Day. I see a lot of students there. They love it. Kids Day is different than the other two preseason games, I think. So I think it'll be the worst game on the field for the kids to see, but it'll be exciting.
But and we have Joe Andreessen too, and we're going to get into that in just a second, but I just want to thank our sponsor, Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in West New York, these are the guys you want to call. Zach Korzelius, 585-409-1088. That's 585-409-1088. Small City Realty, Zach Korzelius, buying, selling, or property management in Western New York. That's who you call. Yep. So Joe Andreessen is...
And don't forget Ben DiNucci.
Wait.
He's the quarterback. He's the backup quarterback. Yeah.
He is, yeah. But
he might play the whole game.
He might, but I feel like there's a little bit less of a Cinderella story going on. But maybe that's the Cinderella story that we're missing, right? Because no.
There's no Cinderella story here. Joe, Fearless Joe is a good story.
Okay, so you said this in the group text. You said, like, not a big deal. There's hundreds of them in the... No,
don't throw me under the bus here.
I'm totally throwing you under the bus because... No, I'm going to fight you on this because this is big. I'm doing research on past, Bills UDFAs who made the team, and I don't even know how many of these guys were tryout guys because they probably just, went undrafted, got signed right after the draft for most of these guys. I have a list for you, so you don't have to look it up. Don't worry.
Okay.
But this is huge. And this guy grew up in Buffalo. All of it, and we're like, oh, shoot, decimated at linebacker again. Matt Milano out till at least December, at least. There's other injuries, Balin Spector can never stay healthy, and he's the kind of depth linebacker that we kind of need at this point. And all of a sudden, here comes Joe Andreessen, and he has the preseason game of his life. And I know, like, grain of salt, we've watched Nathan Peterman have the game of his life, but he looks like he belongs out there. Yeah. He's not the wrong size for the position. He's got all the traits. He's fast. He seemed to be so disciplined as well. Like, watching this, he's making open field tackles against not nobodies. This is like Justin Fields.
There's somebodies. I mean, it's Justin Harris. Fields it's Najee Harris. Like, I hate both of them. I don't know.
Well, still, but like, I don't know. I want to give him credit. I don't want to totally overreact, but like, I'm not saying this is already the best Bills preseason storyline of all time. I'm just saying, like, there's a possibility, and it could be. And I know we said this before, but like, this feels different than the Andy Isabella's. This feels different.
Hey, his story's not done.
I know, but you know what I mean. It's not CFL player who help me out here, Duke Williams, right?
Yeah.
I like
this.
Right. This is not Brandon Riley. Insert drought player here who we thought was going to make the difference on the routes. Christian Wade. Yeah. And Christian
He's the
Wade,
all-time story. He's the number one story.
I think he is. Yeah. But
2 touches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that's like the best. Well, that was probably the best preseason game I ever saw.
Just one touchdown. He almost made it to the end zone on the second one.
He got tackled on the second one?
He got tackled right before the end zone. It was really close.
We should give it to him. I don't know.
I know. Yeah. Well,
do you remember? Okay, this is a stupid story. Do you remember? But this is one of those things. Like, if you're a good coach and he gets tackled at the one, give it to him 3 more times. Give him 3 more handoffs.
Yeah.
So do you remember in modified football, 8th grade, I was corner, but
I
joined late.
Lost 50% of our listeners.
So I'm in middle school. Now think about this.
Keep going.
Skinny guy, and I got the large pants. They didn't fit me, right? So I'm playing corner, and I get an interception, and I'm running. And I got like nobody around me, and I start losing the pants. They start coming down, and I got tackled at the 2-yard line. So I didn't get the actual pick six. I got tackled too. But our coach let me run it in as a running back. He's like, "You earned this." He's like, "You should have had a pick six. You're losing your pants. You run it." So he gave me the handoff for the touchdown, and I thought that was cool. You're making an 8th grader's day. Who can't fit into a large pair of pants in 8th grade football. So, but it's one of those things. I'll give Christian Wade the handoff. Like, let him score.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just winded after that play. Maybe he needed the oxygen a little bit.
Yeah,
but.
So I have a couple things about this fearless Joe Andreessen. So first thing, Buffalo
Joe. Buffalo Joe. Fearless Joe.
I like Fearless Joe. Yeah.
Are you trying to rebrand Buffalo Joe already?
So Fearless Joe is a headline from Sports Illustrated. Ralph Ventry did a article, and that was his
All
headline.
right, that's fair. That's
so just once, just humor me one time, Buffalo Bills, by having a plan that does not involve bringing a player off the freaking street that has no credentials, that didn't play anything exciting. I mean, whatever, he played. So
yeah, he's
but like AJ Klein comes off the beach to play linebacker. You get an undrafted free agent from Lancaster to play linebacker. I'm like, what? Why is that our options? Like, why is that our only options? That's my only stick with the whole thing, is that we're so barren. Our depth is so limited again that we're pulling people off the streets that played at Lancaster, New York. I don't know. I'm hating. I'm hating right now.
I think that's the injury bug, though. Like, that's 100% the injury bug. Like, if you're walking into the season with,
you got to figure it out.
I think that they've had the luxury of, not the luxury, but like, I don't know, the fact that Joe Andreessen got to play in this preseason game as much as he did because of the injuries. Maybe that's how they learned what they have in him, you know? Like, maybe that's what it takes. Like, sometimes these guys play different when the lights come on compared to, in practice and stuff like this. And Joe Andreessen was like, I'm Rudy out here for that entire game.
Rudy.
Yeah, he's a lot bigger than Rudy.
So here's my overarching point with this is I think it's cool. All right, it is cool. I think there's 100 undrafted free agents in the preseason right now that probably half of them have flashed. That does not mean they're going to stay. It does not mean they're going to flash forever. The batteries die on a flashlight.
12 tackles flashed.
No, I agree. But I think that having this player be successful, I'm not trying to take away anything from him, because it takes a good player to take good coaching on defense. And this is going to be an overarching part for this whole season, because Sean McDermott is here to earn his money this year. This is the whole point of having a defensive coach as your head coach, to be able to rally somebody who came out of Lancaster High School to play in an NFL game and make 12 tackles. This is where you get Christian Benford to play well. This is where you have DeMar Hamlin to play well, and Mike Edwards, and you name it, Terrell Bernard. All of these guys that are not marquee players. Matt Milano, fourth or fifth round pick. All of these guys that have come in and made an impact as a part of a puzzle on defense is a credit to McDermott as a coach, I think. So he needs this for him to really get his shine back, I think, because he's, the luster might be faded a bit with the playoff losses, but your back's against the wall with your defense right now, buddy. So you don't have Greg Rousseau, outstanding game. Also super excited to see him break out this year if that's possible. But you got Vaughn and you got Benford and Douglas. So I want to see McDermott's masterclass season. So my next question for you, John, you have Fearless Joe. He steps in. Bobby Babich is part of that too, probably. As
I was
DC.
just going to say, like, I didn't want to cut you off, but like, this is a Bobby Babich tweet.
Yeah.
Like,
so here's my, last question for you, John.
Sure.
With the injuries, with an undrafted free agent starting at the Mike linebacker position, we're in the green dot. We got to see something from McDermott here. Do you think over under top 12 defense in the NFL this year?
Well, under being
better or worse? Yeah. Over top 12 means better, like into the top 10. Under is worse.
I didn't know if you
sorry, it's like turning the AC up or
12.
down. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. I'm still going to go top 12 defense, because
12?
Top 12, yeah.
Do you, like, is 12th, like, would you be happy with 12?
12th would be my expectation. Anything above that, I'd be happy. Anything below that, I'd be disappointed. These games might be tighter than they usually are when the Bills win. Their average margin of victory when they do win is usually up there. It might be, squeaking out a couple more wins along the way. But also an important note when it comes to Joe Andreessen, as he was playing the Mike linebacker position, which if you're rooting for him to start alongside Terrell Bernard, which obviously is a little bit of a long shot, that's the will linebacker position that Matt Milano plays weak side. So that's
is that
what
we're
will
probably going to is weak, like will and weak. Okay. Why do why do they call it will? I don't know.
And Mike and Will, so they're buddies.
Yeah.
So you're going to have Dorian Williams most likely filling in that spot, but I don't know. I mean, Dorian Williams has a lot of really good traits. He's physical. He's very good at recognizing run plays, stuffing run plays, getting to his gap, moving forward. But when it comes to the backpedaling stuff like that, he's not as good in coverage as, a Matt Milano, which, I mean, who is it, but so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that progresses along. I know that McDermott has kind of talked about this before, where they don't want to put too much on guys' plates. Like those positions are very different when you're talking about the signal caller in the middle of the defense versus the will linebacker. So they kind of overloaded Dorian Williams by switching him back and forth a couple times. Even Terrell Bernard, before he was the starting middle linebacker, they put a lot on his plate and then kind of said maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they like want Joe Andreessen to maybe be the heir apparent in that position mid-season or something like that. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself because like it's not even a guarantee that he'll make the roster, but I would be shocked if he didn't at this point.
He could be a practice squad player, I think.
Do you think he makes it to the practice squad? Because you got to clear waivers to get on that practice squad.
Well, I said it earlier in our group chat. There's 100 other undrafted free agents.
There are not 100 other
Let's search it
undrafted
right now.
free
Let's
agents.
find it.
Brandon, are you telling me that there's 3 guys per team who have flashed as much as he has? Who are the other 2 on the Bills? Let's start with that. Who are the other 2 undrafted free agents that you think have a shot to make the roster at this point?
Probably
Jake
not.
Browning's gone.
All right.
3 per team, and that's just average. That's just average.
All right. So you know what it is giving me vibes of though? Mark Wahlberg with the Eagles, Invincible. Dude walks on, right?
I have not seen that movie.
You haven't seen that movie? Oh, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. The guy, they're holding open tryouts.
I do like some classy Marky Mark or classic Marky Mark, but
it's Vince Papale and he's like 30 and he walks on as a 30-year-old. Maybe he starts at special teams and turns into a wide receiver. He starts as a gunner. It's a good movie. It's on Schmetflix, maybe one of those.
No, you're thinking of The Rookie, the guy who walks on at 30.
No, that's a great one.
I'm kidding. Yeah. No, I like that movie. I had it on VHS as a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so we watched it a lot. Yeah.
Obviously, Joe Andreessen would have to do a lot in his Bills career to become the best undrafted free agent to be, come to the Bills and then grow their career. I think there's a lot. I do have a list. So we'll start. I actually stole this list, so credit to Ronnie Eastman from Buffalo Down, former Buffalo Rumblings guy, wrote an article on this in June, just talking about undrafted free agents that might make the roster. So shout out to him for being ahead of the curve. But I just wrote down some notable guys. He had a couple guys down there from the 60s that I didn't write down because I didn't know who they were. And obviously it's kind of hard to compare the undrafted free agent market of the 1960s and the modern era of football. So anyway, I have Levi Wallace down. Obviously ended up contributing quite a bit. He came in as an undrafted free agent rookie. Fred Jackson, obviously,
the man
coming out of D2 or D3 or whatever it was. Was it D3? It might have been D3.
I think it was D3. Yeah. Co-college.
That's right. Yeah. That's the one thing you need to know at Buffalo Trivia every time.
Yeah.
And then Jason Peters and Kent Hall. Jason Peters is probably you could make a case for him at the top of the list as well.
He 100%. He might be one of the best left tackles ever.
Right. And the reason why he was undrafted was because he was a tight end when he was coming into the league. So obviously converts to tackle and becomes, Hall of Famer. So anyway, obviously that's a tough mountain to climb and we're getting way ahead of ourselves with Joe Andreessen. But what I saw made me excited. He didn't make any mental mistakes that I could see. He looked confident. He was making the right choice. He was breaking down and tackling. He wasn't over pursuing like you see young guys do. He's got the build. His RAS score is like huge, through the roof.
Yeah.
So this is not like a Rudy where we're like, oh, maybe he can do it. It's like he's got the skills. He very closely fits the prototype Bills linebacker these days, which is not small, but like 6'1", 6'2".
That's small.
230 pounds and can run and is fast. So
I have a stat for you here about him. 12 tackles, which was a game high number. 2 tackles ended drives for the Steelers, and 5 of his hits were gains of 3 yards or less. So, that's half of his tackles were game impactors. Right. Half of his tackles impacted the game positively. More than just a regular old 4-yard tackle. So,
well, I'm not somebody who goes back and watches the All-22, but you follow all the guys who do, and it looked as good on the All-22 as it did live. I don't think we were overreacting whatsoever. So a lot of good stuff there.
Well, I hope he's enjoying his week right now.
I'm sure he is. Let's hope he enjoys his Bills career.
Yeah. That might be this week, but I'm hoping it's more than just this week. So have you ever seen Lancaster's facilities?
No, I remember Lancaster for going to the Speedway as a kid.
Yeah, it's sweet. So like Lancaster, Clarence, Williamsville, all these rich suburbs out here in Buffalo. You know, Joe Licata comes out of Williamsville, plays at UB, also maybe a little tryout for the Bengals at one point. Maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody. But yeah, they have good football talent here. Usually it's not a national thing. You might get a small D1 player here or there, but it's cool. You know, they have they're class A, class AA in New York State, and they're big schools. They have a huge facilities. I mean, Clarence has a field house from the South Door, so it's like all this stuff. So anyway, it's just big stuff. So it's cool to see it put on the map. You know, it's good for the school. So
yeah. Well, let's move to your Curtis Samuel with the turf toe right after you placed the bet for his over on yards. Yep. Now, not time to freak out yet because he'll probably be back in the first few weeks of the season. But
well, let's talk about this for a second.
I was gonna say, are you still drinking the Kool-Aid?
My Kool-Aid's a little watered down because Chase Claypool has turf toe and he's out for the year. That's what they released him with for his injury settlement. You ever have that problem with your toe? You ever hurt your toe?
No, I never really did.
All right, let me tell you. Yes, it's terrible. I was working sports camp for the Y, and I went to kick a soccer ball, and I kicked the cement ground before I kicked the soccer ball with my big toe. I swear I broke my toe. It got to be huge. I couldn't walk on it, but it's not just like a little bit of pain every step. It's like a shot up your leg. Like it hurts real bad. And I know turf toe is obviously a little different, but it's a sprain of the metatarsal phalangeal joint. So it's the MTP joint. So, and it's when it's bent past its normal range of motion. So it's like, you know, like if you bend your finger all the way back, it's not good. So it's hard to recover that and stay in shape. So, I mean, even if you're on a bike, you know, you got to use your toes for the pedals. I don't think you realize how much you use your toes until you hurt them. So I'm really hoping this is because we're in a tough spot in the receiver room if he misses any real time. And it makes me nervous for this Cardinals game. I think the line for the Bills is 7, maybe for that game, 6.5, 7. And that number looks more and more appealing to me the more injuries that we get. We'll save these picks for our episode before week 1. But we need him. I need him to be on this team. I need him to be a weapon. I need him to make $45 on my bet that I placed on his over for yards. I need him for my fantasy team. I just drafted him. So I'm worried. I am a little worried. I'm nervous about the depth. I don't know. It makes me anxious. I just want to get done with the preseason.
So this is from Banged Up Bills, which is a great follow. Dr. Kyle Trimble. Yeah, he's on Joe Marino each week through the season too, which is a great spot to listen to.
Discovered him when Vaughn got hurt.
Yeah. So he says that he didn't see anything happen in the preseason game, but it's likely he was injured on the 12th of August, which is actually a little while ago. So the median recovery for RTP is 28 days. And so that gives him 26 until the home opener to rest. So he might be ready for that. And if not, you know, probably the Thursday night game. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, you know, but
I'd rest him for the opener. To just that 2 days early. Even if you shoot it up with something and you put them
you don't want to make it worse, especially when you're playing on turf in the Bills Stadium for that first week too. So
it makes me anxious. That makes me anxious. So we'll see.
This is why we need grass, guys. We need grass. I know we're getting into the new stadium. Yeah. Every stadium in the NFL should have grass. They do it for soccer in Europe. And
it's funny it's called turf toe, though, because it can happen on anything. I guess it can. The flexion of your foot, though, you know, when Josh Allen had that quarterback sneak with the Titans?
Yeah.
Like he had all that pressure. Yes, you were there. I remember that. There, yeah, that was tough. So all of that flexion, all that pressure on that toe, I guess on turf, the grass doesn't rip. So it would increase that joint pressure. Whereas on grass, you saw it with Josh, the grass gives away. So the pressure goes away.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe we win another game.
Give to it.
But Josh gets turf toe.
Right. Right. So. I don't know. I like, do you feel with the injuries that the Bills are just kind of getting their bad luck out of the way first? Like I've seen tons of speculation, you know, because it's like we used to know the Bills as this team that had one of the best injury records in the NFL. And maybe this is just regression to the mean with that because we used to credit the facilities, the training staff,
what were we thinking?
Which everything is still in place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And injuries bit them last year. It's probably the reason that stopped their season. Injuries was probably the main cause that they lost to the Chiefs, honestly. Like I give them a win in that game if they have their linebackers.
One of them even.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that the Chiefs didn't play a starting linebacker until the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah. Which is
because
just
of injuries
for them. Yeah.
So everyone has it. Everyone gets through it. But I don't know. I guess the last thing I want to talk to you about is the situation at backup quarterback, because poor old Mitchy Biscuits. I mean, I guess he's not old, but poor Mitchy Biscuits looks a little lost out there. And I'm starting to get concerned. He has what, like a $2 million guaranteed contract?
Yeah, it's bad.
And so you're going
to,
I mean, add it to the dead cap this year, right? Like that's a huge pile of dead cap. Toss it in the dead cap graveyard along with, I don't know.
Anybody else want to join him? Anybody else? Yeah.
Right.
It's tough. It makes me nervous. It makes me nervous too. I've got a lot of anxiety about getting to week 1 here. I hear he's a really nice guy. I've seen him a couple times, him and Josh, buddies, but I don't like him. I don't like watching him play. He misses guys. He's slow processor of the ball. If you're going to go with him, I mean, if Allen goes down, you got to make a move, right? We look at the Vikings last year bringing in Aiden O'Connell, and when Kirk goes down and he has a good game and then he kind of tails off. But when you look around the league, I was thinking about doing this for trivia, but I thought it'd be kind of hard to look up. I wanted to look up any backup quarterbacks that have a winning record. I feel like that number is minuscule.
That's true, but also wins are not a QB stat,
if you're a backup quarterback, you're going to lose more games. I think. I don't know. Yeah. What do you do?
I don't know. Everyone's mentioned Tannehill, right? But I feel like Tannehill's just going to wait for a starting spot somewhere. So the only way Tannehill is here is if, crap has hit the fan, basically, and we don't want that. So, honestly, with Mitchell Trubisky right now, I'm not even going to say the I word, but let's say Josh gambles really hard on DraftKings before the season. He's betting Curtis Samuel. He's betting, and so he gets banned. He gets suspended for the season. How many games do you think the Bills win with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback?
4.
I was gonna say like 4 or 5.
Yeah, maybe 5.
It's just too much to overcome.
It's bad.
I feel like.
This roster is built by Josh. It's not anybody else. I don't think. I don't know. We talk about you take away all these players off our roster. How much is it going to impact the record as a bottom line, item? And we don't really start freaking out a little bit because of the weight of gold that Josh Allen brings to this squad. So
how many wins do you think Matt Milano is worth on that? Because you look at it the perspective of did the Bills over under for wins move when Matt Milano was announced as out for the season? I don't think that he does. Usually you don't see a player do that unless it's like a Tyreek Hill level wide receiver or quarterback. When trades happen, you won't see teams over under move at all unless it's a huge deal like a quarterback or a star wide receiver. Yeah. So for us with Matt Milano, he's the closest thing to a star receiver on the defense, right? Yeah. I think he's worth one win would be the average that it comes down to, right?
Maybe a little more, maybe 1.5, but it's because of the guys that we play. We have to play Mark Andrews. We have to play We have to play Travis Kelce. We have to play, you name him. Who else is in our Jonnu Smith is going to be in our division now, and who I snuck into the fantasy draft. Jonnu Smith stashed him on the bench. So it's interesting. And I really like the baseball stat, the wins above replacement, the WAR. Because Mike Trout is all time leading by a ton. But I mean, in a good season, somebody might have 13. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. But it's wins above your average and your average player in the National League. So what is a quarterback worth? Obviously, the number is interesting to me because if you look at the Bills' value as a franchise from 2016 to 2024, it goes up like $500 million. So we've talked about a franchise quarterback being $1 billion investment between all of the jersey sales, the ticket revenues. Now we're getting a new stadium. And the contract itself, he's worth it. And he's worth every penny of it. And if you don't have one, you need one. And if you don't have one, you're done. And if you have 2, you don't have any. So it's what are you going to do? But I'm a little worried. That's a good question, though. How many wins is Matt Milano worth on the roster?
Yeah. And I'm trying to remind myself also to slow down and appreciate every single year. Anyone out there who is writing off this year as a reset year, you might be right. Maybe that's how Brandon Beane is thinking of it. I'll tell you that there's not a single player in that locker room that's thinking about it that way. And I know it's sure as heck that Sean isn't thinking about that. But I think that, we have to learn to appreciate every single moment that we get from Josh Allen. Yes. Because we're still early on in his career, but we're kind of getting into the middle.
We're halfway. We're halfway, whether you want to admit it or not. 7 years is halfway. Maybe it might even be past.
Well, don't talk like that, first of all. But like you have to kind of come to that realization to really appreciate it, because for this first 7 years, it's been like, we're in the first 7 years, we're not even halfway there. We got plenty of years. Like that's the consolation. I just hope that there's not another, heartbreak as much as 13 seconds, because it's going to hurt like even more.
So this is kind of funny. You seen Interstellar?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll look for the clip and send it to you. But it's when Matthew McConaughey is like looking through what has happened.
I think I saw this on Twitter.
And it's like Bill's Super Bowl window 21 through 24. And he's looking out the window. And it's like he's like, no. And it's the 13 seconds clip. And then he starts crying. And it's the Bengals game. And then he starts crying again when Tyler Bass misses the kick. Oh, and he's just like so sad because his whole life flashed him by in 20 minutes. And I'm like, this has gone so fast. Like 7 years has gone so fast. I feel like we were just watching rookie Josh Allen. I feel like that Houston playoff game was yesterday. That day was such a great day. I remember that day. The Bills had 90s night. It was before the black and red jerseys. I think the Sabres played at noon and the Bills played at 4. Because I think I went to the Sabres game first, came back home, made chicken wing dip and watched the game. Like that was a great day. And I remember like, this is great. Like I was living in my buddy Kyle's house. I'm like, this is great. Like what a life we have here watching this guy playing in a playoff game. And then we lose, in 13 seconds. The AFC championship game here is kind of a blur. Because like we were one game from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was a little bit surreal and haven't been back there since. And I think if you would have told me that year, I would have been extremely disappointed, because it felt like, we're only going to get better from here. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep with it. I'm excited for this season. I think lower expectations are good because they set you up to be a little bit more grounded. Maybe some of those heartbreaking losses, that every loss is heartbreaking, right? Yeah. Or it's just like, you're not going to have a good day Monday. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to live with those this year as we go along. So, remember where we were last year? We were 6-6 and ran the table after that. So all is possible.
To your credit,
through Josh Allen. That. I did call that.
You did call that.
I did.
I was hating.
I'll take some credit for that. Brandon, you were so negative, and I was like, they're going to do it. They're going to win every single game from here on out. No, they're not. So anyway, that's all right. I was here to call your negative bullshit on Joe Andreessen too. So
I hope I'm wrong, man. I'm just jaded, I guess. The pain that I felt from 13 seconds hasn't left me yet, and it's still inside of me.
I saw a tweet today that someone says like a piece of me, like I didn't die, but a piece of me died that day or something like that. And somebody had quote tweeted it with the 13 seconds, picture of Josh on the sideline.
I talk about it all the time at Rothland's when I'm at work. I talk about it with my students. I'm like, something changed that day for me. I was on a wheel. I never gone on a trip like that by myself. I'm like, we're here to see an all-time moment. The guy I sat with, I wonder how he's doing sometimes. The girlfriend that I sat with from Kansas City, that they were very nice people. But I wish he felt this pain. Like I wish he felt that burden. And I wonder if he thinks about me in pity. Like I don't know. It just really hurts. It hurts my heart.
Yeah.
So
it does. Especially like I try not to think about it too much, because I'll start feeling crappy. I just kind of shove it down. Yeah. But it's like it's worse the more you think about how joyful you were when Gabe Davis caught that touchdown, at 13 seconds.
I never felt anything like
whenever I see the highlights of that game, I always just pause it right there and then I just walk away.
If you want to really feel good.
It's like the part in the Four Falls of Buffalo where at the end they show the kick going between the uprights. Like that makes me cry, and I wasn't even alive for that. Yeah. So
if you want to feel good, go watch Allen's fourth quarter, because he had one of the greatest quarters of existence as a quarterback. I think arguably the best quarter of all time. I think from any player. Like that might be the best quarter of play ever.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a stretch. I don't think that's being ridiculous.
Well, if you're going to, who second place is, and probably even right up there with it, is the game you played before that against the Patriots. And I just watched all those highlights today just to reminisce. Yeah. And I'm like, I miss big plays. Like that whole entire game was like 30 yards, 25 yards, 80. 31 yards, 80 yards, Micah Hyde's interception, that was insane. So
that's the coolest play I ever saw live, I think. I thought that was
I need that back. I need that back so bad. So if you need to get hyped for the season, go watch some Josh Allen highlights. This is not just a reset year. It's going to be fine. It's still Bill season. I'm excited.
The AFC East is ours until it isn't.
Exactly.
It could have a college degree right now.
Yep. So, Brandon, you said you had some kind of trivia really quick. Do you want to do that before we get out of here?
Brady and Manning, legendary quarterbacks amongst themselves, did their top 5 quarterback lists in the NFL. Now, here's Brady did his in the order that he thinks of them. Manning was just asked about it quickly and just kind of spitballed names. So Manning's list might be a little, take it with a grain of salt, but I want you to try to name them. And I want to see.
Does he have 5?
And they are not the same 5 players. There's a different player
Brady's.
From Brady.
So I think I already told you this, but I think I saw Brady's. So Brady had Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, or was it Burrow Jackson or Jackson Burrow?
Jackson Burrow. That's
Jackson Burrow.
Yeah.
And then Rodgers is 5.
Yep.
And so I'm going to guess the 5. I bet Peyton put Rodgers in his 5 unless he was thinking. Oh, he didn't? Okay. So he is thinking recently, which I'd agree with that. I would keep Aaron Rodgers out of my top 5 if we're talking the past 3 years, obviously. So Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. Am I good so far?
Well, so he has Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Jackson 4.
But I thought you said Manning said them out of order.
Yeah, but in the list here, somebody put it on a list, so that's how he listed it. But you're right; They were just kind of
okay. Well, I wasn't guessing for this person's list order.
All right, you're missing one.
Jackson is 4, right?
Yeah, you're missing
not 4.
3.
Not the number on the list. The 4th person that I got.
Correct.
So it's Dalen Mahomes. Yeah, the 4 AFC quarterbacks, and his 5th is different.
Yeah.
Who does he think is the 5th best quarterback? It's not something stupid like Kirk Cousins, right?
No.
Okay.
He might arguably be better than this player. Maybe not via potential for his career, but.
Is it Jalen Hurts?
No.
It's not Tua, is it?
No, not that guy. Brian Flores wouldn't have him on his list either.
No.
Boom, boom.
All right, give me a division really quick because I'm fading.
Out west.
Is it Justin Herbert?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he hasn't done much lately, but a couple of years ago, I think we all thought that he would be that guy by now.
Yeah. If you look at Kirk Cousins' stats and Justin Herbert's stats, I bet you wouldn't be able to tell them apart just by the numbers, the blank number test.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
You could argue CJ Stroud's in there too, but
yeah, but he's probably got one more year of show us until we're like, and that's how people were with Josh his rookie year as well.
Wow.
So
CJ Stroud's rookie year
understandably, CJ Stroud's rookie year was a lot better than Josh's. So, but anyway, well, you good to cap it off there?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm in my feelings right now, but thinking about this team.
Yeah. Just don't think about 13 seconds. Shove that out of your mind. It leads to drinking. But you guys know where to find us on all platforms. Yeah, drinking your vitamin water. You guys know where to find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Please give us a follow if you hadn't already. We really appreciate going back and forth with you guys on all those platforms. Reach out to us, shoot us a voice message, shoot us anything that you want to talk about on the show. So this is not just a one-way conversation. We're ready for another season. We're super excited for it. Again, if you need a realtor in Western New York, Zach Korzelius. I'm telling you, he's the best. He knows everybody. His number is 585-409-1088. He's with Small City Realty. So, all right, Brando. Well, we'll see you next week and go Bills.
Yes, sir. Go Bills.